is a video to help students better understand operations of sets by sort of visualizing these operations. Later in this tutorial, exercises will be presented which you can answer yourself, or pwede rin namang panoorin mo kung paano sagutan so you can learn. But before we continue, it is assumed na medyo na-introduce na sa inyo ang sets, particularly the 4 operations. Kung nakalimutan nyo na, you might want to recall basic concepts by clicking the links in the descriptions below. If you are confident enough naman to skip to other parts of this video, you can also click the timestamps also in the descriptions. Let's recall some concepts and look at these sets with their corresponding elements. Basing from our previous topics, we can analyze sets A and B and discover that they have a common element which is 2. Thus, we can conclude that the circles here that represents A and B must be overlapping. Hence, this overlapping region should contain this element 2. Since ang elements ng set A contains 1 and 2, the element 1 also be inside circle A. Therefore, should be here in this region. Similarly, since ang elements ng set B contains 2 and 3, the element 3 should also be inside circle B din. Therefore, should be here in this region. Looking at the universal set, notice na iisa na lang ang natitirang element, the number 4. This number is not an element of A, nor an element of B. Kaya we place 4 here in the outside region. Finally, we have a representation of the relationships of these sets. We will be using these sets and this Venn diagram as we recall the 4 set operations. Okay, let's try and start discussing union. Kung maalala nyo, pag sinabing union, meron tayong definition. It's the set of X such that X is an element of A or X is an element of B. Sa dalawang condition na yan, kahit isa lang ang masatisfy, okay na because of the use of the word or. Either nasa A or nasa B or in both. Pwede na yun, part na ng union ng sets. Or, katulad nung binanggit natin sa previous topic, ang shortcut is you simply combine the elements. Sige, let's write the elements of A, elements of B, and make the union basis for this shading ng Venn diagram. Susulat natin si A. We have A, the elements are 1 and 2. Then union, replacing B. Ano nang ang elements ni B? We have 2 and 3. Now, from our shortcut, combining these 2 elements, arranging them in increasing order para hindi nakakalito, pagsamahin, we have 1 and 2, isama mo sa 2 and 3. Huwag ulitin si 2, so meron tayong 3. Therefore, these are the elements of A union B. Now, using this as our basis, ano kaya ang shading ng Venn diagram natin? What we can do is, you look at the elements here, 1, 2, 3, and shade yung region na nandito. So, dapat part nun yung 1. So, saan ba yung region 1? This part. Let's shade that region. Okay? Next, 2 is also part of the union of A and B. So, let's shade this region. And lastly, 3 is also a part of this union A and B. Therefore, let's shade this region. And as you can see, kahit actually walang elements na binigay, pag sinabing A union B, you simply combine shade A, shade B, pagsamahin, you have this shaded region. This now will represent the union of A and B. Now, let's look at the definition of the intersection. It means set of X such that X is an element of A and an element of B. Ibig sabihin yan, these 2 conditions should be satisfied. Nasa A na, nasa B pa. Okay, so ang ating shortcut, if you can recall, is yung common elements. Now, just to recall, sige, ilista natin yung elements ni A so that we can get the intersection niya with the elements ni B. So, elements ni A, we have 1, 2. Replace A with 1, 2, and then copy intersection. Elements of B, we have 2 and 3. Now, anong shortcut na nga? Common. Pag sinabing intersection, common elements. So they have a common element? Yes, it's 2. Therefore, this now is the intersection of A and B. Take note, 2 is nasa A na, nasa B pa, na satisfy yung dalawang kondisyon. Now, what if we try and shade our Venn diagram? Using this element again as our basis, katulad ng ginawa natin sa taas. Looking at our Venn diagram din, dapat part ng ating A intersection B yung 2. So, nasan ba yung 2? Ito yon, this region. So, let us shade that. So, yun na yun. As you can see, this now will represent the intersection of A and B. Actually, again, you don't really need the element to know their intersection. The reason is, pag sinabing intersection, common. Pag sinabing common, di ba yun yung overlapping part ng A and B? Therefore, this now represents the intersection of A and B. Notice their difference? Union pagsamahin, intersection yung common lang. Let us use the same sets A and B to explain ang complement. Now, from the definition natin, A prime or complement of A, they're the same, is the set of X such that X is an element of U, meaning nasa universal set. Pero, ito yung mas importante, dapat not an element of A, meaning outside of A. Okay, subukan natin. Let's say we're given A prime. Pag sinabing A prime, some of you or some students might write first 1, 2. And then, don't forget yung prime. Anong shortcut na nga ng ating prime? Outside. Ano ba yung elements outside 1 and 2? Nasa universal set pero wala sa 1 and 2. Observing 1 and 2, nandito, ano lang yung wala? We only have 3 and 4. Now, using this as our basis to shade our Venn diagram, ano kayang ibig sabihin ng A prime or complement ng A? Now, it's very easy. Ang sabi natin, outside ni A. Asan pang region yung outside ni A? This region? Yes, it is outside. Let's shade that. Next, how about this region? Outside ba? No, part ng A. This region outside ba? No, it's inside A. How about this region? Yes, it's outside A. So this now would represent the complement of A or outside A. Let's have another example. What if this time tinatanong sa atin B prime or the complement of B? Again, some of you might write B first. You can do that. Pwede lang din naman hindi. Pero sige, let's be very careful. Let's write first 2 and 3. Ano yung shortcut? Outside. Now, outside ng 2 and 3. Look at the universal set. Ano bang nasa labas ng 2 and 3? We have 1 and 4. Let's write that. 1 and 4. Now, again, using this as our basis, alin kayang parts ng ating Venn diagram ang dapat shaded? Gawin natin yon outside ni B. So, kunin natin, asan ba yung mga outside ni B? Check mo bawat region. Itong region na to, outside ba ni B? Yes, it is. Let's shade that. How about this region? Outside ba ni B? Yes, let's shade that. Ito, outside ba ni B? No. Ito, outside ba ni B? No. Therefore, this would now represent outside B or the complement of B. Complements are very easy to shade sa Venn diagram. Basta outside nung elements natin or outside nung shape natin, that's the complement. Last, difference. How do we get the difference of two sets? What we can do is, let's look at the definition. A minus B, ibig sabihin, set of X such that X is nasa A, pero dapat wala sa B. Huwag na nating pahirapan. Gawin na lang natin is, write the elements, let's replace A. Ano yung A? We have 1, 2. And then, minus. Ano ba yung elements ni B? Let's replace that. It's 2, 3. The technique here is, what we can do is check the elements na nasa A, pero wala dito. Or, another way is, tanggalan natin yung mga nandito na meron dito. What do I mean? Let's check each element of A. Si 1, nandoon ba? Wala. So, 1 stays there. Hindi siya natanggal ni B. Next, 2. Yung 2 nasa A, nandoon ba sa B? Meron. So, dapat matatanggal siya. In the end, ano ang natira kay A? It's just the element 1. Now, this would represent the difference of A minus B. If we look at our original figure and shade yung 1 na kaisa-isang element ng difference, saan banda yun? This part. So, what we can do is shade yung region 1. Doing that, we have yan. Now, this would represent A minus B. Maalala niyo yung technique natin dati? It's just like A is parang cookie and then bitten by B. Kinagat ni B si A. That's what it looks like. Now, paano kapag baliktarin natin? Let's say we're given B minus A. So, ang gagawin natin is, let's write the elements of B. The elements of B are 2, 3. Replace that. Then minus, ano yung elements ni A? Replace 1, 2. And katulad ng ginawa natin kanina, we will try to look at B, tatanggalan natin kung meron sa A. So let's check each element of B. Yung 2, meron ba doon? Meron. So tatanggalin natin siya. Binawasan ni A. Next 3, meron ba doon? Wala. So 3 stays there. In the end, what do we have left? We only have 3 as the element of B minus A. Now if you look at our Venn diagram, nasan ba yung region 3? This one. Therefore, that means we will shade this region. So doing that, we shade this region. And that now represents B minus A. Aside from nakita natin that A minus B is different from B minus A, parang ganun pa rin ang itsura. B, take note, is parang yung cookie bitten by A. So ito yung cookie, B, bitten by A. So that's what we mean by difference. Now we're ready for some examples. Let's use the same sets A, B, and universal set to shade and represent this Venn diagram. How do we get A union B prime? Now, ang gawin muna natin is replace the sets with the elements na hinahanap. So A can be replaced by its elements. We have 1, 2. Union B prime. Pag sinabing B prime, ano na nga ibig sabihin? It means outside B. Take note of our shortcut. Now, pwedeng bilisan na lang natin. Let's immediately write the elements outside B. Wala sa B. Na nasa universal set, these are 1, 2, 3 nasa B, and 4. So that's B prime outside B. And finally, let's get their union. Union means to combine. So combining 1, 2 and 1, 4, increasing order, we have 1 followed by 2. I-combine mo sa 1, 4, wag uulitin si 1, 1, 2, 4. We have the elements of A union B prime. Now, if we use this as our basis to shade our Venn diagram and represent A union B prime, ito shade natin, A union B prime. So, gawin natin 1. Shade region 1 here. Doing that, we have that. Next, shade 2 according to that. So, doing that, shade this region. And finally, shade 4. Nasaan ba si 4? Ito, outside. Therefore, this now would represent A union B prime. Ang basis, itong ating elements na to. Pero actually, you can shade this even without knowing the elements to start with. So, tatanggalin ko muna. Is there a way kaya, kahit na hindi natin alam to get yung final shaded region? Gagawin natin is, we follow the set operations pero hindi elements ang titingnan. Simply by shading sets. So, let's try. Start tayo. A union B prime. Ang gagawin natin, let's shade first si A. So, shade natin lahat ng elements inside A. There you go. Next, B prime. Ito, B prime. B prime is outside B. Let's shade lahat ng nasa labas ni B. Ito, nasa labas ni B. Ito rin nasa labas ni B. So, si B lang ang hindi na shade. Now, finally, kailangan natin A union B prime. Meaning, A, ito yon union B prime. So, pagsamahin, that's what union means. Union is the easiest operation you can do with sets. So, ang gagawin mo muna kapag union is, shade mo muna kung anong na-shade dito. That is A. Next, B prime. I-shade mo din kung anong na-shade dito. So, check na natin. Ito, na-shade dyan. So, shade mo din. Ito, nasa loob, shade mo. Pero na-shade na. So, okay na yan. Therefore, pag pinagsama yung shaded parts nito at saka nito, you have this one. Now, yung ultimate check, subukan natin. Tama ba? Kapag shinade si 1, 1, shaded yon. Kapag shinade si 2, this region, tama, shaded din yon. And finally, kapag shinade si 4, shaded din yon. So, as you can see, even without knowing our elements, we can shade this Venn diagram to represent this A union B prime. Next example. Again, let's use these three sets, A, B, and the universal set. But this time, let's get B union A, that group, prime. Let's try to shade our Venn diagram using elements first. So just like what we did earlier, we write first the elements of these sets. Replace B with the elements 2, 3. Carefully, union. And then A, elements are 1 and 2. And then don't forget, close parenthesis, and of course, prime. Next, according to the PEMDAS rule or GEMDAS rule, solve first whatever's inside any grouping symbol. So let's try and do that first before getting yung prime. Union means you combine. So let's combine 2, 3 and 1, 2. So we have 1, 2, 3 combined and increasing order. Don't forget, prime. When we say prime, it's the complement, meaning outside 1, 2, 3. What is the number outside 1, 2, 3? It's 4. Therefore, you have it. That's the answer. We only have 4 in that set. Now, let's shade our Venn diagram here below. It represents B union A, that group prime. B union A, that group prime. So, according to this, let's shade the 4 part only, this one. So, doing that, shade it, and there you go. That would now represent B union A, that group prime. However, is there a way to shade the Venn diagram without even knowing the elements? Yes, we can by looking at our shapes and shading them as needed. What do I mean? Let me try and erase this first. Okay, instead of looking at the elements, let's get B union A first because according to PEMDAS rule, this should be solved first. So B union A, we have B union A here. When you say union, you combine. It's the easiest operation you can do with sets. So first, shade B according to this. Shade B. There you go. And then, union means you shade A as well. Shade A. But this is already shaded, so leave it as it is. Okay, B union A done. What do we do next? B union A. Prime is the next step. So prime means outside. Let us shade everything outside this part. So the only part that's outside that is this one. Therefore, we now have represented B union A, that group prime, even without knowing the elements. Ultimate check natin, let's shade 4 here. If you shade 4 here, ganito bang itsura? Yes, it is. So that's how you shade the Venn diagram without ever knowing the elements inside those sets. Let's answer number 3. Let's get A prime minus B here. Now, if we look at this one, according to the PEMDAS rule, parenthesis, there's none. But after parenthesis is E, exponent. We don't have an exponent, however, we have a complement. And that should come first before doing any subtraction or difference here. So, let's get A prime first. Immediately, when we say A prime, it means outside A. If A has elements 1, 2, what's outside 1 and 2? We have 3 and 4. And let's try and write that immediately. And then, minus. B has elements 2, 3. This time, let's get the difference of 3, 4 minus 2, 3. What do we do? Use this as our basis, our first set, 3, 4, and then subtract whatever is on the second set. So check natin bawat isa. 3, do we have 3 here? Yes, therefore, we cancel it. This subtract 3 from here. Next 4, do we have 4 here? None, therefore, 4 stays. Finally, we only have 4 on this first set. And that is the answer. If we shade our Venn diagram here, we have already written A prime minus B, A prime minus B. We have this one. So ang gagawin natin is we shade 4. So doing that, where is region 4 that we can shade? This one. And there you have it. That represents A prime minus B. Okay, now let's try and answer this without even using any element. So what we can do is, as you can see, biniredy ko na A prime. Let's shade first A prime. A prime is outside A. Of course, we know these are the elements outside A. And then using a different color this time, let's try to shade B. This one, shade B. These are the elements inside B. Now, finally, let's get A prime minus B. This is A prime minus B. When you say difference, what do you mean again? Take note, parang this is our cookie, this big one. Now, this orange part eats this part. Again, this orange part eats this part. Anong matitira? We only have this one. Let's shade that. How about this one? May shade pa rin ba? Wala na. Kasi it was eaten by B. And therefore, you have this. Now, if ultimate check is, let's try and shade 4. Kapag shade mo ba yung 4, ganitong itsura? Yes, it is. So that means we can answer these problems even without knowing elements. We just make sure we do it step by step and shade sets as needed. Carefully go through the operations. Let's answer number 4 without even knowing the elements and shade this A intersection of B, that group, prime. Now, how do we do that? Step by step, let's shade each part of the set operation. This has a parenthesis, therefore, that means we have to get A intersection of B first before getting prime or its complement. So, what we can do is ready our Venn diagram here. So, according to this, let's solve A intersection B first. Shading the intersection of A and B. Intersection means common. Is there an overlapping part or common part of A and B? Yes, there is. This part, therefore, let's shade that. So, A intersection B done. Next step, prime. When you say prime, it's outside this group. So, let's shade every region outside this one. So, let's shade everything except this one. Let's shade that, this one, and that one. Therefore, we can easily get the quantity A intersection of B prime. This now represents that set. Ang bilis, ano? Let's make things a little more challenging by answering number 5. Let's shade the Venn diagram, naka-ready na dito sa baba, and represent by shading A minus B, this group, intersection with A. Now, buti na lang we have this ready as well. So let's answer and shade A minus B first. Remember our representation of A minus B? First, let's shade A. This one. Now, let this be sort of our cookie and then to be eaten by B. So, if B eats A, what do we have left? We have that one. So, A eaten by B. Or, we subtract B from A. Next, let's ready shaded A. So, A is this one. Done. Finally, let's get the intersection of this group, this one, and the right group, this one. When you say intersection, what do you mean again? It means common. Let's shade the common regions na na-shade dito. So, this region, let's check this out first. Is this commonly shaded? Yes, it is. So, common yan na na-shade. How about this one? Common ba na shade with this one? No. So, are there other regions na common na na-shade? Wala na. Therefore, finally, we get A minus B, that group, intersection with A. Ang bilis. Last example. Now, let's get B union of the quantity B minus A. Without knowing any element in the Venn diagram, let's shade and represent this set. So, first and foremost, we have a grouping symbol here. Therefore, let's try and get B minus A first. However, let's do it step by step na rin. Why not try and shade B first? Our Venn diagrams are ready. Let's shade B. Done. Next, union with this right side. Let's separate this, B minus A. If we shade B first, that is B. When B is eaten by A, B is sort of our cookie, A eats B, what do we have? That one. Or it's the same thing as saying we have B and then we subtract A from B. Therefore, we have the same figure. So, the right group done. Finally, get their union. Union means you combine. Union is the easiest operation we can do with sets. So, the very first thing that you should do, shade whatever you see here. So, B shaded, this left part done. And then shade whatever is shaded also in this part. But this is already shaded. So, there you have it. We finally have B union of B minus A, that quantity. We are now ready for some exercises. Given a new group of sets, answer the following questions. You can pause this video now to try them. Kaya yan, go! Here are the answers. Ano, nakuha ba? Eto, exercises 3 and 4. You can pause this video while you answer them. Go, go, go! Here are the answers. Ano, nakuha ba? Eto, mas exciting. 3 sets na! You can pause this video as you answer them. Laban lang! Go! Here are the answers. Ano, did you get them? I hope marami kayong natutunan. See you sa next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy solving!